Hey everyone, I finished watching the next Time Force episode a few days ago. I had a cold, so still sticking around a little bit, but I'm mostly over it now, so now I'm feeling good enough to talk about the next Time Force episode. Beware the Night. Beware the Night. It's a pretty good episode. It's a really unique episode for Time Force since there's no mutants in this one. Let's see, there's no Zord battles, and also there's a new power-up introduced. This is a strange one. I was never really sure what to make of this one exactly. I remember seeing this one as a kid, and it was very odd. It really stood out because it was so different. It starts off with there's these two knights on horseback challenging each other for possession of this little box. Kind of looks like the Lament configuration. Anyway, they joust, the Black Knight knocks the White Knight off his horse, and I guess he dies. Okay, just casually kill a character. Though it is a character we've never seen before, and he never shows up again after this. Anyway, Black Knight takes the box, and the White Knight's like, "No, you cannot take the battle fire." And then the Black Knight's like, "Shut up, die," or whatever, and the White Knight dies, and Black Knight goes with the box, and then meanwhile, at the Rangers clock tower, they're coming home after some really hard job or something, and there's a really funny bit where Trip is like, "Oh man, I'm so hungry, I could eat this broom." And he actually goes in to take a bite out of the broom, which made me wonder, can Zybrians, eat wood? Who knows? Whatever. Anyway, they take the broom away from him and tell him to go get some pizza, so he goes out to get some pizza. And as he's coming home, the Black Knight suddenly charges by, knocks the pizza out of his hand, and also slashes him with his sword, and, chops the top of poor Trip's hat off. And then, Trip dodges out of the way of the Knight, and the Knight's horse tramples the pizza. Jerk. So anyway, Trip takes the ruined pizzas home, and the others are like, "Dude, Trip, what happened?" And Trip is like, "I was attacked by a Knight. Look, he got my hat." And the others, for some reason, don't believe him, and they're like, "Just admit you dropped the pizza." They didn't drop the pizza, though. So then they go out to get something else, and the whole situation really reminded me of back in Turbo, Carlos and the Count, where Justin's like, "Guys, I saw Carlos, he was turning into a vampire," and the others are like, "Justin, you know there's no such thing as vampires. Just robots and wizards and witches and monsters and all this other crazy crap, but vampires, don't be stupid." That's how it comes across. It's so weird. Power Rangers is in a weird position when it comes to plots like this, where characters have to be skeptical of something, because so much crazy crap is, canon to the show. It's a fact that monsters exist. Back in Mighty Morphin, they established that the police had, their own, set of rules regarding monster attacks in the city. Just a weird thing that it bugs me in Power Rangers, and they still do it now, where, weird things happen, and someone's like, "Hey, I saw this weird thing," and everyone's like, "I don't believe you." So anyway, back to this thing. Let's see. Oh yeah, we see the Black Knight go into this cave, and there's a CGI dragon there. And for, when was this, 2001? That dragon is really good. It's nothing amazing. I mean, even as a kid, it looked CGI to me. I could tell it was CGI. I think there's a few, close-up shots where they have, model parts or something, but for the most part, it's CGI. And, it looked okay. I kind of wonder why they put so much... at the time, it would have taken a lot of work to make a CGI dragon like this. I know there was a CGI dragon back in Mystic Knights, and I'm wondering if this was recycled from that. Did they take the dragon from Mystic Knights and tweak it a little bit for this? I don't know for sure. I guess I could have gone back and watched Mystic Knights or something. But anyway, let's see. Oh yeah, the Knight is trying to break open the box. He takes a sword, he's whacking at the box, nothing's happening. Oh, and the interesting thing with the Knights, I kind of wondered, if the dragon is recycled from Mystic Knights, why aren't the Knights? The Knights look okay, but the Knights in Mystic Knights looked a lot better. So I'm wondering, why didn't they reuse those suits for the White Knight and the Black Knight? Who knows? It couldn't be because they thought it would be too fresh in people's minds, because next season in Wild Force, there's way more blatant character reuse. But whatever. The Rangers are coming out of a movie theater, and they encounter the Knight, and, let's see, yeah, they see the Knight, it gets away from them, they don't try to pursue it or anything. Then at the clock tower, Trip and Circuit are trying to look it up on their little database thing, seeing if it's one of the mutants, but they can't find anything about it. And then there's a really cool part. There's a couple in a car, bantering back and forth, and then suddenly the sword comes right through the ceiling, like a slasher movie. And they jump out of the car, the Knight's on top of the car, he jumps down, and is threatening them, and it's straight out of a slasher movie. Everything's at night, too, which is really unique and gives this episode a really cool tone to it. Let's see. The Rangers show up to fight him, and then he leaves. Wes brings up the Stratocycle that he got last episode. He chases him, but he loses him. So then the Rangers decide to search the forest the next day. Wes stays in the forest while the others go back to keep an eye on the city. Wes eventually sees the Knight head back into the city, so he follows the horse's tracks to the cave. The dragon attacks Wes, but then Wes manages to kill it. Which was kind of surprising, because there was no indication one way or the other what exactly the dragon's deal was. Like, we don't know if the dragon is, like, just under control of the Black Knight. Is the dragon evil on its own? Is it have any, even, like, does it even know the concept of such a thing? Whatever. I don't know, it's just weird. When it's not, like, a guy in a suit monster, it feels kind of weird, like, I don't know, it just feels like it was an animal, dude, and you just killed it. Anyway, Wes picks up the little box, and the White Knight pops out of it, and assures him that that dragon, it was evil. Okay, I'll just take his word for it, because that makes me feel better. Anyway, the little Knight tells Wes that using the box will make Wes the Red Battle Warrior with the power of the White Knight's battle fire, and with it he can defeat the Black Knight. Which is kind of weird, because the Rangers haven't really been trying that hard to fight the Knight. Whatever. So anyway, Wes joins the other Rangers who are already fighting the Knight. He activates the battle fire and gets some cool armor, and then he defeats the Black Knight. And then there's a really weird part. They go back to the cave, and Wes plants the Black Knight's sword in front of it, and somehow that seals up the cave. Okay. And yeah. So then later at the clock tower, Wes is telling the others about his fight with the dragon, and embellishes it a bit. He says it had 3 heads. Then Jen's like, I thought you said it had 2 heads. Oh, well, and then Trip comes in with new pizza. The Rangers go over and realize it's all crushed to pieces. And they're like, oh no, is that Knight back? And Trip's like, no, I dropped it. I kind of like the ending. The ending's funny. Anyway, it's a fun episode. It's unique since it's not the usual, like, we're fighting Ransic's mutants. There's no futuristic technology or anything. It's all magic, knights, and the dragon. The Battlefire armor is really interesting. I like that it has kind of like a mystical look to it. It's not too technological looking. Like, back in Lost Galaxy, we had the Battleizer for Leo in that season. Like, it came from a magic source. This guy had these little magic thingies he put together, and it made armor. But the armor looked so technologically advanced, it didn't really fit for that type of story. This armor fits. It is kind of weird, because Time Force is an otherwise, like, technologically themed season. There's not a whole lot of magic going on, but whatever, it's a cool little diversion. We never get any kind of explanation for where exactly the knights come from. Do they just exist in the present? Is the cave a portal to the past? Like in Turok or something? I don't know. We never get any kind of explanation about that. Oh, and also, this would have been a cool, like, way to tie into Mystic Knights. Mystic Knights wasn't that old at this time, so they probably could have, like, tied in with Mystic Knights if they wanted to, but I don't know, maybe they didn't have the props available? I know eventually at some point they did get the props over there, and then to New Zealand, because there's pictures of, like, some of the Mystic Knight stuff in New Zealand. Let's see. I like that it takes place at night. That's really cool. Oh yeah, when Wes activates the Battleizer armor, whatever, and he's fighting the Black Knight, they're in this circle of fire in a black void. It's really cool, and it reminds me of in Beetleborgs when they would use like a final strike attack against the bad guy, which was also a thing in a lot of other Metal Hero series. It's a cool design aesthetic. I really like that. Excuse me. I really like that. I really wish Tokusatsu shows would bring that back once in a while, have that, like, black void with a fiery circle, and the bad guy and the good guy are in the middle fighting. It's really cool. I said cool a lot here, I think. Anyway, back to this thing. Let's see. Okay, here's a weird thing. I went to Ranger Wiki after watching this episode. After I watch a Time Force or any Power Ranger episode, I'll go to Ranger Wiki to see if there's anything interesting about the behind-the-scenes or trivia or whatever. And sometimes there's really weird, awkward, obtuse stuff on Ranger Wiki. And here's a weird one for this one. Oliver Page, famous for voicing Clank in Power Rangers Zeo, returns as the voice of the White Knight. However, his current whereabouts are not known. Oliver Page's whereabouts? What relevance does that have to the post? Like, it's an interesting trivia fact if this is his only other, like, voice credit for Power Rangers, that he was Clank and now he's the White Knight, and both had kind of this Scottish-esque accent. Or, well, actually, I don't remember if the White Knight had that thick of he had some kind of an accent, whatever. But then, like, the whereabouts are unknown. What's that about? Like, is it about his actor? Because, yeah, there's a lot of Power Ranger actors we don't know where they are or what they're doing. If it's talking about Clank, well, we know what happened to Clank. He was destroyed by Zordon's wave. You can see him clearly in Countdown to Destruction. He's standing there, and then he gets disintegrated. If you're talking about the White Knight's dead, and he only exists as a ghost to pop out of that box. So, okay. So that was a weird thing. Anyway, good episode. Like, it was definitely a weird episode for Time Force. It's an odd fit. Don't really know what to say about it. Next episode is the Lightspeed crossover. That'll be really cool. I have a lot to say about that one. Really looking forward to that. Hope you enjoyed this. See ya.